Hi everyone, we're going to solve these three logarithms. We're going to solve for x. So the first one we have is this one. And the first thing I want to do is write this as exponent. So if I do that, my base is, so I'm going to write it as base to the power equals our x. So my base is 9, my power is 1/2, and that equals x squared, this is my value x, minus x plus 3. So 9 to the 1/2 is the square root of 9, which is 3. If you subtract 3 from both sides, you get 0 equals x squared minus x. So let's factor out of x here, because you have that square, x minus 1. You set both of these to 0, you get x equals 0, and x equals 1. Now we've got to check the domain. We plug in x in here. We want to make sure this quantity in here has to be positive because of our domain for log. So if I plug in 0, I get 3, which is positive. And if I plug in 1, I also get 3. So both of these solutions are correct. Now for this one, the first thing I want to do is condense this and write it as a single log by using your product property. So I have a single log, then I write to the 1/2. Now I'm going to write this as an exponent. So my base is 36, my power is 1/2, and then we have my value, and I'm going ahead and distribute that. Square root of 36 is 6. Since we have that square, let's move everything over. I'll subtract 6 from both sides. And factor. It's supposed to be minus 3 plus 2. So our solutions are x equals 3 and x equals negative 2. Now, if we look at 3, plug in 3 here. Always go back to your original. Plug in 3. Our domains will both be positive, so that works. Now I'm going to try to plug in negative 2 right away. When I plug in negative 2 in here, you can't have your domain, that doesn't fit in our domain. So we have to discard that solution. I only have one solution for this one. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do the same thing for ln. I'm going to condense this. It's going to be x divided by x minus 1 equals 1. The way I do this, I go ahead and multiply. Remember, ln of e equals 1. So I'm just going to multiply this by ln of e. Then use my power property and move this 1 up here. Use the power property and just move the 1 there. Now what we can do is condense, cross out the ln's. So we have x divided by x minus 1 equals e. I'm going to put that in fraction form and cross multiply. You get x equals e times x minus 1. Distribute. Now I've got to solve for x. So I'm going to group my x's together by subtracting e to the x from both sides and factor out an x. You get 1 minus e equals negative e. And so when you do that, you're going to get, divide both sides by 1 minus e, you get negative e over 1 minus e. Now what I'd like to do is go ahead and put this negative, instead of in the numerator, put in the denominator. And when you do that, you get e, and you distribute that, you're going to get negative 1 plus e right there. So I flip that around, I get e minus 1. It just looks better. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.